A lot of new hobbyist woodworkers dream about making their own kitchen cabinets. In fact, that dream brings a lot of people into the craft. The idea of making custom cabinets for your own needs at a lower cost and higher quality than the junk you're getting in the home centers. Even in today's environment with higher lumber costs, this is still an attainable goal for any woodworker, even with modest skill. You just need to get started. And in this video, I'm going to help you do that by showing you how easy it can be to make wonderful custom cabinet doors, which are normally the most challenging part of any cabinet build, using a method that is so simple, you're going to have no excuse left. This video is going to be the first step, no, the first leap forward towards your new kitchen. So here's the door we'll be making. It's built from inexpensive materials and it's ready to paint any color you like. And there are a couple things about it that makes this door special. First, it is incredibly sturdy. This is not going to warp or crack or fall apart ever. Seriously, this door may outlast your house. You'll see why as we build it. Also, it's a timeless design inspired by the Shakers. It's difficult to see on video, but the 15-degree bevel on the inner edges of the frame makes a huge difference when you compare it to a typical flat panel door with simple square edges. Again, you can't see depth in video, so this isn't really doing it justice, but I show this style to folks who come in my shop and they can't believe how much more refined and professional that specific 15-degree bevel makes the door look. It just fits modern and traditional styles alike, and it is so simple to make with 2 router bits. I'll put a link to these bits below this video. They're a little bit of an investment because they are of high quality, but you can easily make an entire kitchen with them. And as you'll see, I know a little trick that you can do with them that really makes them pay off. So let's talk about materials. I'm a big advocate of building cabinet doors with hardwood, but you can save a ton of money if you do use pine. Clear pine is definitely the best, but you can also buy wider, cheaper boards from the home center and just cut around the imperfections. Pine doors may take nicks and dents over time, but if you consider that added character, you can save a bundle. Cabinet door frames are made up of horizontal rails and vertical stiles. The door's outer dimensions are determined by the size of your cabinet. In this case, I want 15.5 inches by 12.5 inches. Since the stiles run fully from top to bottom, their measurements are obvious, 15.5. The rails run between the stiles, so you have to subtract the width of your components from the overall width of the door. How wide your rail and stile components are is up to you. Usually they're between 1.5 inches and 2.5 inches wide. Mine are 1 3/4 inches. So I subtract 2 1 3/4 wide stiles from the overall width of my door, and I get 9 inches for my rails. However, you also have to add on the length of the stubby little tenons that will be on the ends of your rails. Those are determined by your router bit set, and in this case, it's 3/8. So adding 2 of those brings me to 9 3/4 inches as the final length for my 2 rails. We're going to start by coping the ends of the rails to create those stubby little tenons. The coping bit is the one with the bearing sandwiched between the 2 cutters, as you see here. But this is not used freehand. You have to put it in a router table and align a fence flush with the bearing using a ruler. By the way, if you don't have a router table, you can easily make one. I just did a video about a cheap homemade router table. I'd suggest making one for a full-size router rather than the trim router I used in that video if you're going to build cabinets. But you can use the same principles in that video to make a router table. I'll link to it below. Setting up the bit is way easier than it looks. Just raise it so the top of the cutter is flush with the surface of the wood and make a test cut on the end of a scrap that's of the same thickness as your stiles and rails. Save that test piece. You can use it to reset the bit to the same position the next time you make a door. It would be dangerous to cut the ends of your rails freehand. You won't be able to keep the workpiece perpendicular to the fence that way. Use a scrap of wood as a stabilizer to keep everything square as you cut. This will also support the fibers so they don't splinter out as the bit exits the cut. You're going to coat both ends of both rails. Now it's time to swap bits. The profile bit has the bearing on top. Note how the beveled cutter on the underside is a mirror image of the bevel on the end of your rail. Keep the rail in that orientation so that the wing-like cutter aligns with its mirror image, the tenon. Adjust the bit height so that cutter is flush with the top of that tenon. Then align the fence with the bearing just as before. It's always a good idea to make another test cut, just to check your setup. The scrap from your original test cut should fit evenly inside this new piece. If the top surfaces are flush, you're ready to cut your profiles. While you can do this without a featherboard, I recommend installing one. It'll just make the job so much easier and more consistent. Just one will be fine, placed directly in front of the bit. This will hold the workpiece against the fence, so all you have to do is push down and through the cut. Cut one edge of each style first, then come back with your rails, making sure that that beveled portion of the end profile is facing downward. All 4 workpieces, styles and rails, are only cut along one edge. The dry fit is always very satisfying. Looking at the ends, you can see how the little tenons on the ends of the coped rails fit inside the mirrored grooves. This is the benefit of a router bit set like this. The mating profiles, despite being oddly shaped, are perfect matches. Now it's time to make the center panel. It's easier to measure this from the back side, so the bevels won't affect the dimensions. To determine the width of the panel, simply measure the full length of a rail, including the 2 tenons. To measure the height of the panel, reassemble the frame and measure the opening, then add the depth of the grooves on both sides. That'll give you the full dimensions for your center panel, but I recommend subtracting 1/8 of an inch from both the height and the width to give you a little extra room for glue later. I also recommend 1/2 inch MDF for your center panel because it is relatively inexpensive and extremely stable. It'll also take paint beautifully, and the 1/2 inch thickness will give your door almost super strength, especially when you glue it all together, which you can do with MDF. Don't try to use a 1/4 inch panel. You'll just end up with a much flimsier door. To fit the 1/2 inch panel in the grooves along the inside of your frame, you have to cut a rabbet. I have a trick for this. I'm going to use the same router bit. You want the face of the panel offset from the beveled portion of the frame profile. I'm marking it with the pencil so you can see what I'm talking about. This area has to be cut away along all 4 edges of the panel. With the same bit that I just used, still in the table, I take a scrap piece of MDF and I adjust the height so it cuts near my mark. Then I test the fit. The tongue should fit easily in the groove, not too tight because it will swell when you add glue. Make an adjustment as needed, and when you're dialed in, cut all 4 edges of your center panel. Then lower the bit and take another set of passes to remove the waste that the cutter didn't get the first time around. I'll bet you've never seen someone rabbet a panel like that before. Here are the components dry fit together. All that's left is to add a little glue, a little paint, and you've built your first cabinet door. Honestly, I have built cabinet doors with just about every method out there, and I have other videos on my channel showing some of those other methods, but this one combines incredible strength and a really professional look. It's about as inexpensive as it gets, too. I bet it's less than $5 a door. And the process is so fast and simple, you just have to try it for yourself. They say there's only one way to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. Make a door here, make another one there, grab a sheet of plywood when you have the extra cash and just make a couple cabinet boxes. You don't have to have a pile of money and loads of time to get started, you just have to start somewhere. Maybe this video will be your start. See you next time.